Two old men stand a little apart from the noise. One of them is Kurt Vonnegut. The other is Joseph Heller, who wrote Catch-22, a book that sold millions and never stopped selling. Vonnegut leans in, half teasing. He tells Heller that their host, the man who owns all of this, made more money in a single day than Heller has earned from Catch-22 in its entire history. Heller thinks about it, then he says, "Yes, but I have something he will never have." A pause. Enough. Hold on that word, suspended over the water like the last note of a song. Enough. Most people spend their whole lives and never once say it. Think back to the last thing you wanted badly, not idly badly, a car, a title, a number in an account, a house with a particular view. You remember the wanting more clearly than the having, because the wanting had weight. It organized your days. It told you what the next year was for. And then you got it, and there was a moment, real, not imagined, when it felt exactly as good as you'd hoped. The new car smells like arrival. The title sits under your name in an email signature. For about a week, maybe two, the world looks slightly gilded. Then the strangest thing happens. Nothing. The car becomes the car. The title becomes Tuesday. The view becomes the window you walk past on the way to the kitchen. You return almost exactly to how you felt before, and quietly, without deciding to, you begin to want the next thing. Psychologists have a name for this. In the 1970s, two researchers, Brickman and Campbell, called it the hedonic treadmill. You can read the original framing as hedonic adaptation. The idea is plain and a little brutal. Whatever you acquire, you adapt to. Your baseline of happiness resets to meet your new circumstances, and then it goes quiet again. It's a treadmill because you can run as hard as you like and stay in exactly the same place. More speed, same view. This is not a flaw in you, it's the factory setting. The same machinery that lets us survive grief and disappointment also dissolves our triumphs. Adaptation is how we keep walking. It is also why the trophy stops glowing. Here is the part that does the damage. It isn't just that the pleasure fades, it's that the target moves. Ask a person earning $30,000 a year what amount would make them comfortable, and they'll name a figure. Ask the person already earning that figure, and they'll name a higher one. The finish line keeps the same distance ahead, no matter how fast you close it. Surveys of income and satisfaction have circled this for decades. The specific numbers shift and get argued over. The shape does not. Enough is almost always defined as somewhat more than you currently have. So you get the raise you were sure would settle things, and it settles nothing. Within a season, the new salary is simply the floor, the baseline you panic to fall beneath. A brass scale perfectly balanced, and then a hand adds one more weight to the side that was already heavier. That's the move. Every gain quietly recalibrates the scale. This is why more never actually arrives. More is not a destination. More is a direction, and a direction has no end. Consider the man who owned the island in our opening. By every visible measure, he had won. And almost certainly, somewhere there was a larger house, a bigger fund, a name above his on a list, and that gap was as real to him as your gap is to you. The richest people on earth are not exempt from this. Often they are its most advanced students. The treadmill doesn't slow down when the numbers get large. It speeds up because now there's so much more to compare against. Which brings us back to Heller, standing in the same garden on the same evening, looking at the same impossible house, and feeling none of it. He had stepped off the machine, not by acquiring more, by naming a stopping point. We are trained relentlessly in the art of getting. School, work, the entire apparatus of ambition, all of it teaches acquisition. No one teaches the opposite skill. No one sits you down and helps you decide on purpose what would be enough, the number you'd be glad to stop at, the life past which more is just more. And without that number, you are running a race with no finish line, set by people who will never tell you that you've arrived, because it is not in their interest for you to stop. There's an old observation, often attributed to the investor types who survive long careers. The surest way to go broke is to risk what you have and need, to get what you don't have and don't need. A man bets a house he loves to win a bigger house he will adapt to in a fortnight. He frames it as ambition. It is closer to a kind of blindness. Defining enough is not surrender. This is the part people miss. It is not the absence of ambition. It is ambition that finally knows its own coordinates. The sailor who knows which harbor he's making for can use the same storm that wrecks the one who's just running before the wind. A destination doesn't make you slower. It makes the effort mean something. Enough is a number, yes, but it's also a posture. It's the ability to look at a thing you could have and to say, calmly, without ache, I don't need that, not because you can't reach it, because you've decided where you live. And here's the quiet mercy of it. The moment you can name enough, the treadmill loses its grip, the comparisons go slack, the next shiny thing passes by, and for once you are not pulled along behind it. If these are the kind of ideas you want to sit with, the slow ones, the ones that don't trend, the channel publishes a new essay twice a week. Subscribe and we'll keep the lamp lit. Let's be precise about what Heller had that the billionaire didn't, because it's easy to romanticize and miss it. He didn't have more peace by accident or because writers are nobler than financiers. He had it because there was a line past which his wanting stopped, and on the far side of that line is the only thing money was ever really for. Freedom, not the freedom to buy anything, that's just appetite with a bigger budget. The freedom to not need the next thing, to wake up and find the day already sufficient. Picture two rooms. The first, a vast, immaculate, empty space, marble, glass, silence, and a person in it who is already thinking about the next house. The second, a small room, a single warm lamp, a book, a cup going cold, and a person who is, for this hour, not chasing anything at all. We are taught to want the first room. Almost no one tells you the second one is the prize, that it was always the prize, and the first room was the long way round. None of this is an argument for poverty or for wanting nothing. Wanting is human. Ambition builds things. The point is narrower and stranger, that more pursued without a ceiling doesn't deliver the thing you bought it for. It buys a better treadmill, quieter, smoother, more beautifully made, but still a treadmill and still going nowhere and still running while you sleep. The question then is not how do I get more? You already know how to do that, everyone does. The question is the one no one asked you, what would be enough? Go back one last time to that island, the lamps, the water, the two old men. One of them owned almost everything in sight and was, by the logic of the machine, obligated to want more. The other owned a fraction of it and had quietly won the only game that matters by refusing to keep playing. You don't have to know your number tonight, but it's worth knowing that the number exists, that somewhere ahead of you there is a line where you could, in good conscience, stop, and that crossing it isn't failure, it's arrival. Most people will run their whole lives without ever drawing that line. Don't be most people, draw it, even faintly, even in pencil. You can always move it later, but at least you'll know you have one. Because in the end, the richest thing you can say at a billionaire's party isn't the size of your house, or your fund, or your name on any list. It's one word said without strain, while everyone around you is still running. Enough. Wealth is not what you have, it's what you no longer need to chase. Until next time.